Hi folks, this is your MWIS Winter Planner looking at the prospects for the next couple of weeks. Quite a change of pattern is on the way compared to many recent weeks where we've been very unsettled. We have high pressure building around the British Isles heading into next week. The orange colours here show the pressure pattern for the week as a whole, and a big ridge of high pressure is in existence, and that will block the progress of any incoming weather systems. Unsettled weather is steered away into the Mediterranean. Temperatures becoming cooler as well. This is the 5-day temperature anomaly going forwards through this weekend, and we're just drifting a little bit below the average then as frost becomes more common with time. Notice the very cold air across Northern Europe, Scandinavia as a whole, very cold through this period. Some much milder conditions though still across the southeast of Europe at this time. Colder than average temperatures take us into next week by a good degree or so. It's the overnight values that will be really noticeable in terms of some low temperatures, regular frost then hard frost, especially in the Highlands. Colder than average as well across most of Europe. Easterly winds then drawing that chillier air in across the continent. Interestingly, around the high there will be some milder than average air that moves up towards Iceland and into Scandinavia, all pretty typical of this sort of pattern as the air masses just move around. Let's look at the freezing level situation. This is for Friday of this week, and you're between around 800 and 1,000 metres overall at this stage. That will drop with a frost forming inland across the Highlands as skies clear overnight into Saturday. Saturday daytime typically then back up to around 800 metres as your daytime freezing level, a bit higher near the west coast of Scotland and also near the Irish Sea. That freezing level only close to the highest tops in England and Wales. A frost becomes more widespread overnight into Sunday, and the daytime freezing level for Sunday is then typically between around 600 and 800 metres at highest in more western regions. So you can see how that value has dropped, and that will then set the scene for some pretty cold temperatures persistently into next week, with much upland terrain widely frozen, even down to mid-elevations, and low overnight freezing levels, the indication of frost pretty widely. Out of sunlight, that frost will stay on the ground throughout the daytimes during next week. These are those minimum temperatures then in the valleys and the glens, and that's first thing Saturday morning, dipping just below freezing point in the Highlands, near to freezing with a slight frost locally possible for England and Wales. Sunday morning starts off with something pretty similar, near or just below freezing point, mainly inland across the Highlands. Monday looks a bit chillier overall, with values below freezing in many valleys across England, Wales and across the Highlands as well. Just depends locally on some cloud cover amounts in the east. The trend, though, is for those values to become lower as the week goes on, and where skies are clear and the wind is light, those temperatures will dip well away below freezing. -3 to -5 in some valleys and glens could be a good few degrees lower than that. Wednesday, for example, shows overnight temperatures in the Highlands dipping as low as -7, and it could be a few spots do go a degree or so colder. Looking at the latest weather situation into this weekend, and we still have a weak zone of low pressure north of Scotland on Saturday. That's still driving a rather brisk westerly wind across northern parts of Scotland, and a few showers coming in to western and northwestern coasts. These are some snow flurries over the hills and some hail mixed in maybe at times. Those will tend to be confined to coastal districts. One or two may push inland, but mostly dry toward the eastern side of the Highlands. A few showers also running in on the north to northwesterly wind across North and West Wales. North England largely dry, just an odd local shower. Higher pressure is then starting to expand across the country. It may well just leave one or two local light showers or flurries around some coastal districts overnight and into Sunday. Otherwise, quite a quiet looking weather story with fairly light winds, some mist and fog patches possible in some low-lying areas, a few cloud banks and fragments higher up on some of the hills, but generally a dry, bright and crisp day with some sunshine. Locally, a few showers may just pull down from the north, a bit of uncertainty on the leftovers of an old front, possibly just there. High pressure is centred around Scandinavia into the start of next week. That's building more extensively across the country with time. It may be that there's a rather brisk east or southeasterly wind across England and Wales, at least early in the week. That could draw in some cloudy skies across more eastern regions, one or two local light showers or flurries, but nothing substantial from that, really just light amounts of precipitation. Western and northwestern parts of England, Wales and Scotland faring best for some sunshine at this stage. Further onwards through next week, and high pressure is then in charge, expected to centre itself more broadly over the country by Tuesday and into Wednesday. And as it does so, a greater chance then for inversion conditions to set up, with any fog or low cloud banks typically around lower elevations, with the mountain tops generally in the clear. Temperatures may not change too much with height in these situations. Could be that some of the valleys and the glens stay colder than even the mountain tops during the daytime. Light winds and some sunshine then to be expected for a few days forwards, and little if any precipitation at all for a good part of the week. So what snow cover may well be on the ground over this weekend is more or less going to stay the same without anything additional for the week as a whole. Late in the week, maybe toward next weekend or beyond, one or two signals that the high just starts to retreat a little bit, and that could allow some showery conditions as pressure falls from the north, but that is a long way off to get any detail at this stage. The overall trends, though, beyond mid-January suggest that chillier patterns are expected to prevail, with high pressure toward the northwest and low pressure around Scandinavia, and that just allowing a north or northeasterly pattern to be the more dominant one. So staying chilly. If we do see precipitations, most likely to be snow across the mountains, even to quite low elevations. I would suggest that fairly small amounts in total would be expected at this stage. It may top up things that we've got at the moment. Model forecasts, of course, are to be treated cautiously once you go further ahead, but the general view is that higher than average pressure would be focused around Britain and Northern Europe through the later stages of January, with any suggestions of lower pressure more focused away toward the south. So it could well be that drier than average and chillier than average conditions do prevail as we head through the remainder of the month. In the next week or so at least, we do have better conditions very much in the forecast to enjoy winter across the mountains. Thanks for watching today. Bye for now.